meeting of the Texarkana, Arkansas Board of Directors to order. At this time, we'll have the roll call.
Director Roberts.
Here.
Director Harris is absent. Assistant Mayor Hollibush.
Here.
Director Brewer.
Here.
Director Minor. Here. Director Hart is absent. Mayor Brown.
Here. At this time, we'll stand for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you bow your heads? Gracious Father, thank you for this day and all the blessings that you've given us, and be with us tonight as we conduct our city business, and be with our citizens and be with our city staff as we go through a new year here in 2022. For it's in Christ's name we pray. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. If you wish to address the board tonight in citizens communication time, it's beneficial for us to have a citizens communication card there on the ledge. If you would fill that out and get that to our city clerk, we'd appreciate it. If you have your cell phones with you, we would like please to silence those cell phones while we're in session. So at this time, we'll move right on into citizens communication time. Is there anyone here that wishes to address the board tonight during citizens communication time? Seeing none and hearing none, we'll move right on into our presentations. Presentations first. Our first presentation will be our City of Texarkana, Arkansas Employee Service Awards. I think I've been told no one is here. I don't see, Jenny says no one is here, but I would like to recognize those. We have service certificates for those. All are employees of the Texarkana, Arkansas Police Department. Douglas Pearson for 5 years, Zachary Lee for 5 years, and David Easley for 20 years. So y'all give them a round of applause for their service. Also, item number 2, we have a presentation celebrating 2021, our city's year in review video presentation by Eric Evans.
Well done.
Eric, you know, there's a story behind that Wadley photograph, because I live with Wadley, and so you don't know how many times over the 32 years that my wife has worked for Wadley that she would come home every other year saying, we're getting a new hospital, and that's been going on for 25 years. So we were certainly excited to know that it finally became fruition and to get that thing going. So thank you, Eric, for that. Moving right on into our consent agenda, we have one item on our consent agenda, and that's approval of the minutes of the rescheduled regular meeting on December the 20th. What would be the board's desire on the consent agenda?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
So a motion and a second to adopt the consent agenda. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion carries. Our regular agenda tonight, we have two items. Item number 4 is to adopt a resolution approving the fiscal year 2022 Bi-State Justice Fund budget, the amendments to the FY 2021 Bi-State Justice Fund budget, an amendment to the fiscal year 2022 General Fund budget, and increasing in an authorized personnel position. Finance Director Rhonda Henderson.
Good afternoon, Mayor Brown, Board of Directors, and City Manager, Mr. Ellington. The Bi-State Justice Fund budget was approved by the IAC on December 16th. The city's contribution increased from $307,000 in 2021 to $1,380,000 in 2022. This is primarily due to the change in the budgeting process. The city will receive $831,000 from the Bi-State Fund from previous years' overpayments as of December 31st, 2020, of which $200,000 will be returned to the Bi-State Fund as part of the beginning fund balance. The 2022 General Fund budget approved on December 20th, 2021 includes a contribution of $1,366,118. This needs to be amended to reflect the actual contribution of $1,380,523. The IAC approved funding for an additional maintenance technician position for the maintenance department. The city's authorized positions will need to be amended to include this position. Are there any questions? Thank you.
I'd just like to just clarify one thing, that this was supported by the IAC, and the reason that we're really doing this is because we voted at the request of the other entities to dissolve the Bi-State Reserve Fund, basically, and give it back to every entity at the end of the year, and then recontribute $200,000 so that we would start the year off with $600,000 instead of retaining that money in a Bi-State Fund. So it's here nor there, but it's the way that it was passed by the IAC, and we're going to continue to do that until something else changes.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. So this is a resolution. What would be the desire of the board to have? Well, first of all, Heather needs to read the resolution.
Whereas the proposed FY 2022 Bi-State Justice budget was approved by the Intergovernmental Advisory Committee on December 16, 2021, and whereas the City Manager and Finance Director recommend approval of the FY 2022 Bi-State Justice budget, an amendment of the FY 2022 General Fund budget to include the additional contribution to Bi-State Fund, including a $14,405 appropriation to satisfy the difference between the amount currently budgeted and the actual proposed FY 2022 Bi-State Justice budget presented herewith, and the additional position reflected in the FY 2022 Bi-State Justice budget. And whereas the City Manager and Finance Director recommend board approval, and now therefore be resolved by the Board of Directors of the City of Texarkana, Arkansas, that the FY 2022 Bi-State Justice budget as presented and the amendment of the FY 2022 General Fund budget as described above are approved. Passed and approved this 4th day of January 2022.
So the city clerk has read the resolution. What would be the desire of the board to adopt?
Make them second.
So we have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution. Is there any further discussion? Could you call the roll, please?
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollowbush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Minor,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes. And the resolution passes. Our next item is item number 5, is to adopt an ordinance to rezone property currently zoned RM manufactured housing subdivisions and R1 rural residential to A1 mixed use rural zoning. This property is located at 5628 Tennessee Road. City Planner Mary Beck. Also, Ms. Beck notified me prior to the meeting that the persons requesting this are present tonight. Was not aware they could have requested an emergency clause. Our city attorney is not here tonight. Me personally, I don't see any issue if the board passes this ordinance tonight and it has its 3 readings, that we would attach an emergency clause to this. Other than that, they would just wait the customary 30 days after the ordinance passes, but we can. I don't see any issues in considering an emergency clause tonight if it's desire of the board. If it's not, then they would just wait the 30 days. Okay? Ms. Beck.
Thank you, Mayor. This property is a large piece of land. It's almost 23 acres on Tennessee Road. And you can see that the current zoning is a split zone. I believe there may have been manufactured homes on it at one time on the north part of it. But the property owners, Mr. and Mrs. Hefner, would like to go to the new A1 zone. That allows them the benefit where they could build a storage barn for tractors and so on before they put a house out there. And also to reconcile that zoning so they have all one zone and do away with that manufactured home zone. That's not something that they desire to have on their property. And also, the A1 zone would allow the benefit if they wanted to later on put a second single-family home on that land. As long as there's 5 acres per house, they would be able to do that. As you can see, the zoning all around there is R1, which is rural residential. And the A1 zone was really designed to fit with and work with the R1 zoning. It's, rural land uses still. It allows a little more flexibility in what people can do with their property when they have large parcels. But it isn't made to conflict with anything that's rural. Tennessee Road was one of the roads that there's been some recent and current road work on, so it's a collector. It can support another house or 2 out there without any problems. They're on city water. They would need an approved Miller County septic tank for the sewer lines don't go out that far on Tennessee Road. We notified 18 adjacent property owners within 13 feet as required, and we haven't heard any opposition from anyone either at the meeting or prior to. The Planning Commission met on December 14th and on a motion to approve by Mr. Jason Dupree, seconded by Ms. Bertha Dunn. They voted 6-0 to approve, with Anderson Neal was absent. So, and again, they would like an emergency clause if that's something the board is able to consider and would approve of. And I'd be happy to answer any questions, or the Hefners are present also.
Yes, I have one question. On the east side, is that considered R1 as well?
Yes,
Okay. Yeah, I see the markings on the west side.
yeah, everything that's that light yellow is R1. That ochre color, that is the manufactured home. And then over there on Rondo Road, you see there's a C3, which is
Yes.
a commercial zone, just a little ways away from there. But it's not adjacent to it.
Is there any other questions from the board for Ms. Beck? Is there any other discussion from the board?
I'd like to just say that I don't know if I've ever told you thank you for the work that you and the Planning and Zoning Commission did on this A1, because it has tremendously helped Ward 1 because of so much acreage that we have. And I think this is the third time we've done this in Ward 1. And the couple, I was at the meeting, and one of the commissioners asked him what they planned on growing on all that property, and he said grandkids. So I said, great answer, great answer. So, thank you.
All right, any other comments? So remind the board, this is an ordinance. What would be the desire of the board to have the ordinance read tonight on its first reading?
First reading abbreviated form.
So we have a motion and a second to have the ordinance read on its first reading tonight in abbreviated form. Is there any other discussion? Could you call the roll?
Roberts?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Hollibush?
Yes.
Brewer?
Yes.
Minor? Yes. Brown?
Yes.
An ordinance amending ordinance number K-286 as amended and for other purposes.
So the ordinance is read on its first reading in abbreviated form. What would be the desire of the board to have it read on its second reading tonight?
Second reading in abbreviated form, please.
Second.
So have a motion and a second to have the ordinance read on its second reading tonight in abbreviated form. Is there any other discussion? Could you call the roll?
Roberts?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Hollibush?
Yes.
Brewer?
Yes.
Minor? Yes. Brown?
Yes.
An ordinance amending ordinance number K-286 as amended and for other purposes.
So the ordinance has been read on its second reading. What would be the desire of the board to have it read on its third and final reading tonight?
Third and final reading in abbreviated form, please.
Second.
So a motion and a second to have the ordinance read on its third and final reading tonight. Is there any other discussion? Could you call the roll, please?
Roberts?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Hollibush?
Yes.
Brewer?
Yes.
Minor? Yes. Brown?
Yes.
An ordinance amending ordinance number K-286 as amended and for other purposes.
So the ordinance has been read on its third and final reading tonight. What would be the desire of the board to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to adopt this ordinance. Prior to the board voting, is there anyone here that wishes to address the board either for or against this ordinance? Hearing and seeing none, could you call the roll, please?
Roberts?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Hollibush?
Yes.
Brewer?
Yes.
Minor? Yes. Brown?
Yes, and the ordinance passes. What would be the desire of the board without objection to attach an emergency clause to this ordinance?
Motion to attach an emergency clause.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to attach an emergency clause. Is there any other discussion? Could you call the roll, please?
Roberts?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Hollibush?
Yes.
Brewer?
Yes.
Minor? Yes. Brown?
Yes, and the emergency clause is attached. All right, moving right along, I do not know of any other regular business. We'll move into our city manager's report.
Mayor and board members, Happy New Year to you. Hope everybody got through 21 and is looking forward to 22. You've got your schedule, first thing in front of you there. I know there's several rescheduled meetings. That's beginning next time on the 18th, and then July 5th, September 6th, and December 6th. Those are moving to the Tuesdays because of Monday conflicts on those. You also got your calendar for the year, which outlines our meetings and all that we've got available for you, any holidays, et cetera, that are all on that major calendar for you as well. We're beginning 22 with projects and equipment, really getting things started. A lot of planning, a lot of stuff going on. So we're moving forward with the 22 budget already. We've also started the comp plan process, and we'll be setting those meetings here pretty quickly. You'll get that notice, those notices as we get those started. Again, a lot of involvement from the planning standpoint. It'll kind of give us the ability to relook at where we are and what we have on paper, as well as where we may want to go to in the future.
Jay, just a clarification on that committee. I thought about this because we're going to get a list, I guess, of those committee members, and are there more than one board member on those committees at one time, so they will actually be public meetings because of more than one director?
Yes, sir. I believe that's the way we have those set up as public meetings.
On the steering committee, there are 2 board members. The workshop, that will be a combination of the planning commission and the board of directors will be advertised, and it'll be a public meeting. They're all open to the public. But the steering committee meeting has 2 members of the board, 2 members of the planning commission, staff, and then some other people will be involved in that. So, yeah, you can certainly have a list of that or contacts. But the first week in February, we've got 2 meetings set up. One will be the steering committee, which we worked out with the consultants and under their advisement, kind of how to populate that. So,
Okay, thank you.
yes, sir.
The next item, we did reset or will be resetting the jail and JDC meeting that we had scheduled for today. I need a little bit more time to kind of get up to date. You know, a lot of stuff's happened in the last 25 years about the jail and the JDC, so I'm just trying to make sure that I have all my facts together, and we'll have a couple of meetings over the next week or so, and then get that set for us as soon as we can this month. If you'll notice in the City and Town magazine this month, there was an article about the airport, which I thought was very, very well done and kind of timely for us kicking off the year, so that was kind of nice to see that. You did have in your packets, we brought your mail up to you this time, and so you have your budget in there as well, so if you have any other questions about budget, please let me know. We have a number of folks out currently with COVID, so we're still in not 100% in operation, and it will be a while probably before we are. So I'll ask y'all to wear your mask if you're in City Hall, just to protect all of us. And you can see I got mine with me, so I'll be doing my part to protect you as well. But again, as we work our way on through this time period, we're trying to ease that through as best we can. We did change our structure a little bit from 10 days back to 5 days with the CDC recommendations. And then wearing masks when the employee comes back to work as well for the next 5 days. So we've got a number of things going on that hopefully will help us get ourselves through that as well. Oh, by the way, in the video, I wanted to share with you that our runner down the trail was Eric as well, too. Not only was he the photographer, he was also our jogger for the day in that nice calendar. Remember, on your calendar list on the back of your agenda, too, we have several joint meetings coming up. We have the State of the City breakfast, and then we have the joint city meeting with us from the Texas side as well. So I wanted to point those 2 out to you as well, too. Look forward to having you involved in those as well. So that's all I have for us, Mayor.
Okay. Is there anything under board director's commentary? Okay. Nothing else? I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion for adjournment.
Second.
So a motion and a second to adjourn. Is there any other discussion? Could you call the roll, please?
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Get me confused up here.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Minor. Yes. Brown.
Yes, and we're adjourned.
I was ready to start over.
Wake up.